I'm in the capital city of Lesotho, which is Mazero, and I'm staying in a rather sort of fancy hotel here, the Avani Lesotho Hotel. And what an extraordinary view. I've been sat out here with a drink of the evening watching the beautiful African sunsets. I believe that is actually South Africa over there. This all turns into glorious crimson and the things that inspired the Impressionist painters and the great novelists. But one of my missions here in Lesotho and coming to the Mountain Kingdom is to understand a little bit more about their kind of radio network, their broadcast media, and how does that relate to the social challenges of this country. Now, I've been staying in this hotel for the last 2 days, and I was unaware that the country's first ever commercial radio station is just over there. So we're just going to take a little sneaky peek at that before I head into the hills. I'm going to go and visit a really interesting community-orientated radio station right in the middle of Lesotho. Come with me, this is going to be good. Right, we'll just go into the hotel lobby. This is a rather spacious area. Not particularly lively right now. There's a piano down there. Gets a little bit more lively going into the evening. But as I say, I've been here for a few days and I had no idea that, given my interest in radio, that I was so close to one of the more significant radio stations here in Lesotho. I understand for a population of around 2 million, there is around 30 radio stations. And here it is, just coming into view on the right here. There we are, PC FM 96.5, and that's the office. Here's the studio, obviously in some sort of autoplay at the moment. Very nice, I like that glass front there.
PC FM 95.6!
God is so good to us. Let's look to Africa. I always say that God always says shh to the angels whenever an African sings.
It finally happened massive when we got General Viper right in the state.
Yeah, Lesotho. I am here, Viper, aka General. I am here. So come out and come check out the show tonight. Power Entertainment, you are big. Yeah.
Right away, man.
Mixing business with pleasure. Sounds like a good description of a local radio there. And it was my pleasure yesterday, so I'm filming this after the fact, as it were. It was my pleasure yesterday to speak to the station manager, Katula, and he was explaining a little bit about what the remit of the station is. So I was asking, was this primarily about entertainment? Is it about, magazine format, news format, information, and so forth? Basically, he explained it was a mixture of all of them, but with different priorities given to the different times of day. So breakfast and drive time would be much more speech-orientated. Let's avoid this car. Much more speech-orientated format. Debate, local news, and that kind of thing. Evenings, more music-orientated. So, a format I can recognise, but fulfilling a function, I would say, of keeping people informed of the things they need to know about, what's happening in the country, what's happening in the world. And just as I'm thinking of PCFM, over here is the casino, which just between you and I is not perhaps the most glamorous of places. I did have a little review, took me a full 25 seconds. I popped in there last night, not an environment I wish to stay in very much. Anyway, however, it's a nice hotel. Love the fact that it's also containing the country's commercial radio station, or the first commercial radio station, one of many, no doubt. For now, though, I'm going to leave this little enclave of tourist niceness, head into the hills here in Lesotho, visiting a community-orientated radio station called Information Hub FM. I'm just driving into the mountains, into Lesotho. We're going north from Maseru, which is the capital where I've been staying, and I'm on a bit of a quest to have a look at radio. As usual in the UK and other parts of the world I travel, I'm interested in different models of radio and how people use radio to serve a social agenda. That could be around the personal impacts of the participants, that could be around the value to the community of a local radio station, or indeed the value to society. And one of the ways local radio can be of value is to promote charitable work and charitable activity. And it's been very exciting in Lesotho to start to hear about and learn about Sentabali, the charity started by the Prince of Lesotho and Prince Harry. And today I'm going to a community radio station that charity has some involvement with. So I'm looking forward to seeing how charities can use the medium of radio to raise awareness of their activities, either for the beneficiaries or, of course, to help with drawing in funds. Yesterday, I went to a radio station in Maseru, actually, weirdly, in my same hotel I'm staying in, and that was PC FM, which was the first commercial radio station in Lesotho. And so I met the manager there, and they've been going for 21 years, which tells you kind of when state broadcasting lost its monopoly and the airways opened up, firstly to commercial and then secondly to community. And he was telling me he had some concerns about certain community radio stations that are kind of muscling in a little bit on the commercial territory. And actually this is a range of arguments and concerns that are actually relevant in the UK, which as chair of the Community Media Association, we're very involved in that kind of debate about how commercial community radio stations need to be. And now we're just coming to what looks like a police stop, so it may be that I'm going to have to produce my driving license. Let's see. Hopefully we'll just get waved on. And just coming up now. And here we go. It's okay. Hello. All right. Were they a bit concerned about the camera?
Yes.
And but we're okay, are we?
Yes, good.
Excellent. So we kind of got waved through, I think, because we're a tourist. Hopefully looking like a tourist car. It's a South African registered car, so hopefully the reasons why they're stopping people on the road is not relevant to us. That would seem to be the case. Anyway, so it was interesting, there's only a certain marketplace for advertising, and who gets to access that marketplace. That is a debate happening in the UK and very much alive in Lesotho as well. So one of the things I'll be asking this radio station I'm going to now is how do they fund themselves, and how can they keep community radio distinctive from commercial radio, and indeed is that a desirable thing? So many things to think about, some of which is fascinating cross-pollination, in spite of this being a very different part of the world to the UK, with a huge range of social challenges, some of which are relevant to us, but many of which are not. The level of economic deprivation and poverty is completely different, obviously, here in Lesotho. But whilst I have all these thoughts and considerations, what a fantastic country to be driving through on this fine day, which for me is like a really good summer's day, but actually we're still coming out of winter. I'm told that there was snow here just a few weeks ago. So onwards into the hills and to community radio station. Watch this space. Well, this is very possibly the first radio station I visited which is in the middle of a cabbage patch. So this can only be a good thing, I'm thinking. We are in the middle of Lesotho. We're going to find out all about this radio station and how it helps charities, and in particular Sentabali's charity, raise awareness of its work. We're going to meet Johnny in a moment. In the meantime, this is Sakara, and thank you for welcoming us to your radio station. What is the name of the radio station?
The radio station is Info Hub FM. Info Hub FM.
Info Hub, which suggests to me it's kind of for the community.
Yeah, no, it was supposed to be like that initially, but just because it was difficult to register like that as a community radio station, we opted for registering it as a commercial radio station because it was easier. Yes.
So it's easier to register as a commercial radio station, but do I get the impression really it is about community?
Yes, it is like that. It is like that, yes. We serve the community around here. It covers a larger area because as our transmitters are not that small, because if it's a small radio station, it has to be something like 300. The power has to be 300 for the community radio station. For us, it is something like 500. Yes.
So you're covering a bigger area. But tell me a little bit about the communities you're serving as a local radio station here.
Yeah, we serve people of different groups. We serve our youth. We serve the older people. We serve many different.
You're looking for a polite way of saying older people. We all struggle with that too.
Yes, okay. Yeah, it's like that.
So, and who presents here? Is it people from the community?
Yes, people from the community. They come. Some of them are on a voluntary basis. Others have to get something. Yes, that is how it works.
And do you train them? Are they volunteers? Do you pay them?
Yeah, we train the volunteers. We train, some of them have come from the universities or the colleges around here, having done media, and they come here to work. Others are just volunteers that have to be trained. They have to go some training before they can sit before the microphone. Yes.
So is part of then their kind of progression is to come here, learn the trade, and then go on to be, professional radio presenters?
Yes, it is like that. It is like that. For some of them, I have to come to for internship. They have to come for internship. They normally do that in around January. Yes, that is what they do for something like 3 months. That is what they do in order to complete their studies. That is how it works. That is how it helps them finish their studies. Yes.
Okay, so at the moment we are standing near the cabbage patch. Let us show evidence that this is a radio station. We have a studio.
You are welcome. So this is the studio. For now, there are some technical problems that we have. Someone is still working on the technical problem at the transmitters up there. That is why we are off air for.
So are you off air?
Now. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Under your license, is that a problem?
It is a problem.
So you tell the authority.
I have to report to LCA, Lesotho Communications Authority. Yes, that is what I have to do.
So if it wasn't for a technical problem, what would be happening in here right now?
Okay, we have a problem. Sorry, the program that is called Kalapeng. In other words, that covers everything to do with the family, because we know that housewives and many other people are listening from home, and they have to understand. They have to have something like a point of talking. I don't know whether I'm putting it right, where they can talk about everything that affects them at home. That is.
So I would say that is empowering people with a voice to inform other people of what they need to know.
Exactly, you've put it right.
Thank you. I'd like to bring Johnny into our conversation. Johnny works for Centre Bali. You come this way, I'm going to come over here. And Johnny, tell me about your role in Centre Bali and then how you use this radio station and other radio stations to promote your work.
Okay, I work as the district coordinator for Centre Bali in the Ribe, and we have been using the local radio stations from all the districts that we work on, particularly from 2020 when the COVID pandemic came in. Then from that time, we realized that because our work is community-based, now that we are not able to go to the community and give out sessions for information dissemination on sexual reproductive health, issues of gender, and empowering people, young people particularly, on those issues, we realized there will be a gap. People will be experiencing gender-based violence, and there's a huge chance that the HIV pandemic, by that time, there will be rise in numbers. So we felt like radio stations are something that we can use to disseminate information to the community so that people keep on having information to make informed decisions about their lives. So InfoHub is one of the radio stations that we used during that time. Well, we are using other means like social media, but for now that we are talking about radio station, and the radio station, its reach is more broad, and also unlike social media where people need to have data, radio stations, everybody in the community has a radio. So it was the perfect way to actually take opportunity to use a radio. We intensified our use of radio from that time.
And this kind of content, this helpful information or vital information, it really was what we're talking about. Is that useful to you in fulfilling your kind of task in being the local radio station?
It is very much so, because what we do, we try to empower the local community with the information they need, because most of them are very much ignorant. Like he has said, they've been talking about their reproductive health and things like that. People fall into problems or difficult situations just because of ignorance. So we are trying to deal with that. They have to know so that they make better decisions. That is what we try to do.
So, and I get that you needed a new strategy to engage people during the pandemic when people had to stay at home, so you're looking at radio as a way of communicating with people. Do you have any evidence that this works, this helps you get that information out there?
Well, sorry. When we are on radio and giving out information, having discussions with the presenters about whatever topic we are bringing on, people will be calling in. That is our way of knowing that people are actually listening and they are getting this information. People will be calling in. I remember our target was usually adolescent girls and young women, but you will find older women calling in on the topic that we're talking about. An example was when we were talking about informing people about the use of PrEP as a preventive measure against HIV, and old women will be calling in because that will be a new information to them. Some of them will be worried if the service is provided for free, or they will have to be to pay for it at the health facilities. So for us, it was a platform that allows us to actually help even older people to make informed decisions. When they have information, it's also simple for them to actually be in the position to empower their kids or their young ones, you see. So it was very useful. So our means of seeing or measuring our impact was through calls coming in, because well, by then I wasn't based in this district, but I realized that the local radio stations do not have means to measure the listenership, you know. So I'm not sure if that day you guys have, you don't have it.
We don't have it.
So our means of measuring was through the calls that are coming, asking questions, and also I will be leaving our contacts there to say if people have questions relating to the topics that we're discussing, they should call in, and people will be calling in to me and asking questions or information about how do I access this service from the health facility. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fantastic to come here to meet you both, to understand how local radio is playing such a vital part of communications with the local communities and your audiences here. Thank you so much for welcoming me today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, Nadia Dominic.
Well, what a fantastic trip that was. And in the 120, 130 odd local radio stations I've engaged with as chair of the Community Media Association and other roles, and basically it's my hobby. I love going to see the different models, the different approaches, the different ways of local radio, how they go about their business and serve their audiences and communities. But of all those, I know that I'm going to remember that one near the cabbage patch, right up in the hinterland in Lesotho. It's about 100 kilometers from the capital, and we went all the way up there. Information Hub FM, permanently etched on my memory. Most grateful to them for welcoming me, and Natoli from Sabali Charity for setting that up and accompanying me. And it was her who was taking that little bit of film of me in the car. And I should just point out that when we went through the police stop there, there's kind of sensitivities around the filming, and that's what they were saying to us: stop filming, stop filming. And that's because recently there's been a bit of a scandal where a policeman was filmed doing something they didn't ought to be doing, and by a tourist. It went on to a kind of tourism site on Facebook, I think it was, and all sorts of inquiries. No need to go into details, but there's sensitivities, shall we say. Anyway, as I said at the time, they weren't interested in us, but that rather explains why the camera was lowered at that moment. So many thanks to her for really hosting me for these last few days, taking me to the radio stations. I'm going to make a separate video about Sentabali, the charity. Also to mention Johnny in there, who we picked up very near that radio station. I think he's the coordinator for that part of Lesotho. So many thanks to him. And it was wonderful hearing about the relationship between the charity, its work, and largely that's about getting information out into the public, really important information around health and safety and indeed rights, all sorts of things that people need to know about. And I love the way that particularly post-pandemic or during the pandemic, they've found radio as a primary way of engaging with the audiences that they need to get to. So that's it for my Lesotho visit and looking at radio stations here. What a fantastic time I've had. Back into South Africa now, and adventures anew.